Monopoly, Monopoly, Monopoly. I have heard so many people trash this poor game over the years. I admit, I've even took part in some of the negativity and kicked over a few tables myself. I'm sorry. One of the biggest complaints folks have is that it is too basic, takes forever to play, and causes fights between family and friends. And I agree with all of those reasons. That is, until my own personal board game Sherpa, Johnny Rocks, who has way more board game experience than most gamers, defended Monopoly. I thought he was being overly nostalgic, but after hearing his explanation, I totally changed my opinion of Monopoly. And after you watch this video, I'm betting you too will look at Monopoly differently. Cue the opening. Before we talk about what's wrong and right about Monopoly, let's get a few tidbits of cool stuff from Hasbro's website. There's actually a whole list of 80 items there, but I cherry-picked the stuff I found interesting. The most basic, Charles Darrow from Philadelphia, PA, developed Monopoly in 1933 using streets from Atlantic City as inspiration. The official birthday of Monopoly is March 19th, 1935, when Parker Brothers bought it from Darrow. They originally rejected it because of the game's length, theme, and complexity. But after seeing its success in local Philadelphia stores, they decided to purchase the rights from Barrows. Within a year of the game's release, Parker Brothers was making 35,000 copies of the board game per week. Two game stats that I personally found interesting are the standard amount of money in a Monopoly game is $20,580. And the most landed-on spaces in Monopoly are, Illinois Avenue and the B&O Railroad. And here's a cool fact about Monopoly that I found fascinating. During World War II, escape maps, compasses, and files were inserted into the Monopoly game boards that were smuggled into POW camps inside Germany. There was also real money for escapees slipped into the Monopoly money. So, in essence, Monopoly can be a real American hero. Just recently, I watched the documentary McMillions on Netflix. Amazing documentary, and it showed when McDonald's had a national contest where players collected Monopoly properties off its fast food packaging and got big prizes. It was so rigged that nobody legit won the prizes for 10 years straight. Never heard about it? Neither did I. I found that it all came to light on September 10th, 2001, and quickly disappeared after the September 11th attacks the next day. Okay, by far, the biggest problem people have with Monopoly is that it is too long of a game. The Hasbro website listed the longest game ever played being 70 straight days. I don't know about you guys, but if any single play of any single board game lasts over an hour, I start to get fidgety and distracted. Now, what if I told you you are playing Monopoly wrong if you're having super long marathon sessions like that? A game of Monopoly should not last over an hour if played correctly. The main problem is house rules, which are non-official rules that folks use to make the game more fun. But that fun comes at a price, as you'll soon see. The big issue is with the free parking house rule. It's where you take all the tax money, jail money, some people even put the community chest and chance fees into the center of the board. And if you land on the free parking space on the board, you collect it all. Some of the greatest moments of my gaming history is when I was about to go bankrupt playing Monopoly with my oldest sister, and I hit the huge free parking windfall. I was rich, and it was amazing. But that meant I was back in the game at full power, and my sister and I had to go through it all again until someone started landing on Boardwalk with hotels a few times. Honestly, I don't think I remember a game of Monopoly that ended with someone winning. Usually it was me flipping over the game board for frustration. That was more common. So the big fix is just stop playing with the free parking house rule. It will dramatically cut down on the time playing the game. Free parking is the huge problem, but there are other things in the classic rulebook that my sister and I completely ignored as kids. The official rule is that if you land on any property space, you either need to buy it right then and there, or the bank has to auction it. That will run through your money a lot quicker. One of the other problems is that people cannot loan other players' monies or let them slide on paying rent. If they don't have the money, they just have to sell and mortgage their properties to pay their debts or lose the game. I've seen a lot of moms letting kids slide thinking they were being nice, but it doesn't really help in the long run. If a kid is going to freak out about losing, maybe Monopoly or any other directly competitive games are not for them. This is an actual rule, not a house rule like I always thought it was. And it probably won't affect the game length, but you can trade your get out of jail free card just as easily as you could trade properties. And finally, you know which friends or family members have sticky fingers and shouldn't be the banker. And if you let that happen, don't be surprised if they're buying stuff they can't afford. My sister will never play Monopoly with me again. If you follow the actual rules and don't fall into the traps above, you're probably going to have a game that takes less than an hour. Now, if there's going to be a fight during the game, it's still going to happen. It's kind of expected with Ameritrash games like Monopoly. Friends and family have a tendency to get mad when they're getting their butts kicked. As for Monopoly being too basic a game, I think you would think that of any game that you've played since childhood. But Monopoly does have some pretty good and balanced rules, if you play them properly. If you play anything too much, you're naturally going to get bored. So, if that's why you don't want to play Monopoly, then by all means, find another game to play. I have a whole series of videos on good gateway games that are fun and easy to learn. Side note, branded Monopoly. So I went looking for the basic version of Monopoly recently, and saw probably 100 different branded Monopoly games. From Walking Dead, to Star Wars, to John Wayne, David Bowie. There's even a Cheaters Edition. This is what you call a cash grab. I have been tempted to buy Bronx Monopoly, which has the same rules as the basic game, just using Bronx locations. I was tempted because it's the same game, just with places I grew up around. There are a bunch of different versions that change the basic rules of the game, sometimes dramatically. I have yet to find a version that has made the game better. So that's how you fix Monopoly. Give the tips a try. You'll think differently of Monopoly. I know I did. My goal here at the BoardGame Sherpa is to help beginners get into board games with the least amount of stress. Remember, the purpose of any board game, or any game, is to have fun and enjoy yourself. So, if you like Monopoly, play that game happily. Ignore the haters. Try it without any house rules and see if it makes it better for you. If you still don't like it, try a different game. I have plenty of suggestions on my channel. If I gave you something to think about, please subscribe to the channel. And while you're at it, please give this channel a big thumbs up and share. Either way, it'll really help me out a lot. And as always, we can bring more new players into the hobby, which will help us all when we're trying to find people to play our favorite games. Deal? So go hit those like, comment, and subscribe buttons, and we all win. See you next episode. I'm going to clean up the room after kicking over the game table earlier. What are you going to do? What have I done?